Thank you, Mr. Dissanayake. And now for the final speaker for the session, I would like to invite Mr. Felix Fernando, Managing Director at Omega Line.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Rohan, and organizing committee for having me here. So this is probably maybe most of in the shipping industry. So maybe this is I'm going to talk about another industry, apparel trade, how we can benefit from an improved logistic industry, or else on the other hand, how logistic industry, logistic trade can benefit from the apparel trade. To start, so let me take you over some of the, this is how I'm going to talk about general outlook of the apparel industry today. Then trends, because it's very important. If you don't understand industry trend, you will not be able to make your strategies. Then what are the challenges of the apparel industry? And finally, I'll be taking you through like trends in the logistic industry and how best they can be handled to serve the apparel industry. So this is, if you can see here, we are able to see the left side graph shows how the apparel industry have grown for the last 13, 14 years. Maybe it's not very visible, but we are predicting by 2026 about $2 trillion US dollar apparel trade. And it's, if you look at the right side graph, and it shows the value of the retail sales. China is dominating the domestic markets, and even by 2026, China is supposed to be contributing to the highest number of retail sales, followed by USA, and you can see a new entrant coming in. India is going to occupy the third spot, and followed by Germany, UK, Japan, France, Italy, Russia. And this graph, it shows to you the annual growth, compound annual growth from 2021 to 2022, as well as from 22 to 24. It's too much to predict until 2040 and beyond. But generally, what we have seen is for the next few years, the growth in the apparel industry is going to decline. Maybe current 6% to probably about 3 to 4%. But it, again, as you can see from the graph on the right side, it could differ from region to region. As you can see, Asia Pacific, there's a slight increase of the total apparel sales, and Western Europe and North America, a slight decline. But the other markets, if you talk about the South American, then the African, Arab countries, so they are going to be, we have seen a slight increase. It's not going to matter a lot. But you can see, notably, you can see some countries like India. Currently, their growth rate, they are experiencing 21% growth rate, as well as even by 2024, they are going to have the highest compound growth rate. So which shows that, you know, in which direction, like if you talk about the Sri Lankan apparel industry, which is about 5.8 billion currently, and projected to grow up to about 8 billion by 2025. So we can also see how best, what should be our strategies to work with the logistics, and you know what are the areas, what are the regions we need to concentrate most. Then I said, you know, I'll just look at some of the trends in the industry, because just to give you a brief so that, you know, our target, our final objective is, you know, to discuss how best these two industries can collaborate, because it's very important to understand that these two industries combined together, they make about combined turnover, combined value of about 19 trillion US dollars, 19 trillion, closer to 20 trillion US dollars by 2024. So currently, apparel industry alone, like I told you, is closer to 2 trillion, and maybe we are forecasting 2024, the global logistics industry also will reach about 18 trillion. So we can see this role of digitalization is very important to see that, because consumers are more and more demanding, and also for the planning purposes, for the distribution purposes. For example, RFID tags will be playing a bigger role. Plus, also the next point is the sustainability. Consumers are really questioning, they want to see, they don't want to harm the planet. They want to make sure that the materials are sourced from a way that, that sustains the earth. Plus, they don't want to see the social justice. They don't want to see that maybe from the countries or from the factories where they don't treat the workers well. So that these kind of things, with the introduction of RFID tags, you are able to go until where the cotton was grown. So that is something very important. I think maybe H&M recently, they also have disclosed that certain cotton that are grown in some provinces of China, where they were not paying a decent salary for the farmers. So these things, it's becoming more and more important. You can't just produce a garment and sell, because the brands, to sustain the brand popularity, brand demand, the consumers are more and more, they are demanding these things. And then also, instead of casual wear, I think there is a bigger demand coming for the athleisure. It's a combination of athletics and sports and yoga. So there's a bigger demand, and certain companies like Ralph Lauren, Lululemon, I think they have those brands, they are really optimizing this demand to maximize their sales. Then another thing is like some time back, some years back, I'm not sure it's applicable to all of you, but when we were young, we had only 3-4 sizes available in the market: small, medium, large, or extra large. But now, especially in certain countries like US and certain other countries, especially, people are not serving, because fashion, this is fashion, if you are obesity, like maybe it doesn't serve. So now it goes beyond to include. It's beyond the size, inclusivity means like maybe it's also they look at the color of the skin, it's not only for the Westerners they have to include, but different skin colors, you need to include them in your product design. And also that one other thing is the multiple shopping options. Now, gone are the days that the customer will walk into a brick and stone store, but now it's mostly, especially even after the pandemic, we can see that a lot of people have gone to the e-commerce, internet trading, and the places like Amazon, how much of growth that they were able to get because of these consumer sophisticated shopping patterns. Then these are some challenges for the people in the logistic industry to understand also that for the apparel industry, what are some of the challenges? One is the cost. Everybody talks about the cost. So for the cotton prices have gone bigger, higher, and also when the people are demanding for the sustainable sourcing, that's also cost, because people are not used to. Then there were a lot of some stores, survival of the fittest, especially some of the smaller scale brands, they had to close down, like for example, some suit manufacturers that they were maybe just focusing on one product. Brooks, and Brooks is one example. They had to go for the bankruptcy. Then you call the wardrobe reboot or revenge shopping. Especially this happened after the pandemic, because people were more or less they were not able to go out, so their wardrobes were like for the 1 year, 2 years, they were not able to use that also. So that, something like they wanted to spend the moment that the pandemic and this world was open, post-pandemic, that they want to spend a lot of money. And also they made sure that they spend for the luxury goods, especially Louis Vuitton, Chanel. They have declared, soon after the COVID was over, I mean, last year, their sales have grown really, really up. So that's also something that the apparel and footwear industry is looking at. Introduction of metaverse is giving the customer a more lively example on the internet so that they'll have more idea what they are going to be buying. Logistic disruptions, we know what will happen in last few months or from last year. I don't need to explain you again. And then increase social shopping, which means that the people, like maybe they have the video chats, they have the special consumer groups, they are promoting about the certain products. So they discuss on the video also, especially the younger generation, is not just going to the store and buying a cloth or whatever. Then the other one is the recycled clothes. That's something, that we need to look at. There are a lot of people, they want to protect the earth, so they are looking at reduction or how they can help reduce the waste of materials, which leads to, especially when it comes to luxury clothing, rather than buying a suit, rather than buying an outfit, they would like to rent. And this business is quite big in the US, as well as also maybe they make certain, like Levi's and some other people, they make, also to make sure that they promote, return the clothes. So this concept, these are some of the challenges, because challenges means that if it's an apparel brand, apparel seller, these things are not going to make your life easy. And some of these trends, what we have seen, I don't have plans to go through in detail because some of my the speakers who were talking before, I think they have gone in detail, but let me take to some points. End of the day, as a fashion industry, because apparel is a fashion, we are selling the fashion, not a garment, because make sure that, the moment that maybe in Paris or in New York or London, when some designers come up with some new, new styles, the moment the consumer needs that, but that's just, it takes a lot of time, sometimes the lead time has gone too long, especially with the logistic disruption, maybe even for the supply chain disruptions. So this is basically how apparel brands or apparel manufacturers, they are thriving because of the human need or human needs. That you can't make anyone happy. So that's, they want to get the newest clothes, newest phone. So with that one, we want to make sure that the faster shipping and greater transparency, lowest cost, especially the speed, very, very important. So how, maybe we think, over the next few years, how the logistic industry will help us. Here, digital transformation and automation, that will really going to help. I think IoT, AI, artificial intelligence, 3D printing. I think I'll just talk only about the 3D printing. 3D printing also, it could be between a logistic company and apparel company, because you don't need to keep all your clothes in a store. You can personalize, you can send the basic clothes to distribution center. So in there, because it's easy, customer can go ahead and you are able to go ahead and get it printed. Now it's a lot of things, not only the apparel, there are certain other spare parts, everything, because with this nanotechnology, especially the industry 4.0, this is easy, and it's happening big. And also that the researchers, they expect by 2025, this 3D printing market sales will go up to about $68 billion US from current 25 billion. Then automated logistics planning, delivery by drones. I think this was explained by, because it's Amazon, they have said that maybe they have two years back, they have mentioned that they want to go in this way because especially it will reduce cost and also for the faster delivery. Then robots in warehouses. This is something I don't want to touch again. And driverless vehicles. So I hope that, this is just a brief, we want to discuss this further during our discussion, how well, as Sri Lanka, are we ready to make the consumers happy, as well as keep Sri Lanka as a apparel hub, as well as a logistic hub. Thank you very much.